My life before Christ was a tough one. I grew up in a home where it was a broken family. My father killed himself. My uncle killed himself the same month, same year, 1987, when I was 10. Um, just a lot of trauma that happened, stuff that I didn't understand how to deal with, and I chose to deal with it in the wrong way. And went into a life of drugs, alcohol, fighting, just whatever I wanted because I was mad at life. I was mad at God, and that was my life before I got to the point of making the worst decision that I ever made in my life. And that happened in 1997 when I was 20 years old. I ended up with a pretty expensive cocaine habit that made me think that taking someone's life would be a good idea. And unfortunately, I did. Went on the run to another state, ended up being arrested in the state of Oregon at 20 years old in 1997, having no idea what to do next. And I'm sitting in the hole in this county jail. I had never thought about my life past 30. And then that's when I realized how much I had taken from Stephen, the man that I had taken his life. By realizing the potential that I had in my life to live that long, I realized what I had robbed him of. And it was at that moment that I wanted forgiveness, but I couldn't ask him because of what I had done. And so I sought that forgiveness from the Lord. And so I got on my knees and I said, Lord, my life is yours. Wherever it takes me, whatever it costs me, I'm yours. In the middle of that hole, on my knees in the cell. And it was at that point that I decided that if I was going to really give my heart and my life to the Lord, it was going to require me to be honest about the worst thing that I had ever done, no matter what the consequences were. They would ask, why are you doing this? Nobody does this. And my answer to them was because the Lord has changed my life, and that causes me not to run from what I did, but to face it, to own my sin. And whatever the law says I deserve, I deserve. And instead of getting the death penalty, I got a sentence of life without the possibility of parole plus 4 years. And when I received that sentence, to me, that wasn't justice. That was mercy, because it meant I would live another day. And I went forward through my prison time believing that my only hope was in eternity. So I started doing Bible studies on the yard. I started teaching in the chapel. And I lived that way for 23 years while I was incarcerated. So my freedom was definitely a miracle, for sure. It came by the hand of men, but it was authored by God. Absolutely, there's no question about it. So the way that I got here into this opportunity with my family coming to Fort Caroline Baptist, all of that, like all of the miracles that God has done in my life, like to be married, to have stepchildren, to have my own family, that was an imaginary dream that just was not, it just wasn't for someone like me. No, but God wrote it, He wrote it differently. There is nothing ahead of me worse than what's behind me. And every problem that I face today is a blessing, absolute blessing.